We are live. Welcome back to the 2017 Canadian Outdoor Singles Championships. I'm Jake Shuknick, joined by Robbie Law.
Good morning, Jake. How are you doing today?
I am stellar. How are you?
Doing good. Ready for another big day? Day 3 Canadian Singles Championships.
They are playing a very short jack here. Featured match here is Ivo van Bastelaere from BC against Bo Koss from Saskatchewan. And this is the first end. We actually picked it up just in time this time. Unfortunately, that scoreboard is like right in front of the jack. I'm going to see if I can move that over to the side.
And so this looks like it's a big game for both players here. Both right now sitting at 1-3 in the tournament. So this is kind of do or die for both, which is exciting. So we should have a great match this morning.
Looks like they're both coming up just a little bit heavy here, but this is almost as short as you could make it.
It looks very close to the 21.
Both using black bowls, although Ivo has white dots on his grips. And I was commentating with Ivo at the majors. He said that he plays with size 7s, so if these are the bowls he was talking about, they're probably a little bit bigger than Bo's.
He's playing the straight hand here. It looks like he's got the jack.
Got the white. Beauty bowl.
Beautiful.
Kind of a risky shot that though, because that's 2 of Bo's right behind there.
And interesting, he definitely could have played around that bowl of Bo's up on the top left of our screen right now. I guess bottom left of our screen.
Yeah.
But on that wide hand, you'd get around just about anything there.
Yeah, you played this rink very first round, so you're familiar with it. Big swoop on the non-ditch side and pretty straight on the other.
Yeah, very straight on the other.
Who are you playing today?
Today I have Michael Leong from BC, and then I'm playing Brandon Watson from Saskatchewan. So two difficult games again. Although it feels like in this pool, every game is an insanely difficult one. So Bo elects for the straight hand there.
Got a friendly rub, but not quite enough to do anything. So Ivo has 1 left here. Do you think he's going to risk playing it? Because if he touches his own, he's probably down 1 or 2.
Yeah, he does have 3 of Bo's sitting right in the back there. Although a nice little pocket to rest on nonetheless. So he did just play this shot.
Can't get over that they're size 7s. Those things are massive.
Yeah, they don't even make them that big anymore, which is insane.
But he's not the only one here using size 7s. Doesn't Jerome use
Yeah,
size
I know
7s
Jerome
also?
Kirby does for sure. But yeah, those are definitely a rare breed now. Although I do remember back in the day, John Bjornsson also used size 7.
Man. Everybody with the 7s.
Yeah, that used to be like the Manitoba Classic. I know Morris Van Wellingham, a longtime Manitoba bowler, also uses size 7s. Big boulders going down the green.
I think it must be closer than we thought from here, if they're putting a measure to it.
I think they might have pulled one of Ivo's out, though.
Bo took out 1 already, so it's 1 for sure for Ivo, but I didn't think that he had a second anywhere near, but prove me wrong.
Yeah, it looks like maybe that side bowl on our screen there.
Yeah.
One time.
I love it when the players signal like that, because then we can actually see what the
Yeah,
count
you
was.
don't have to wait for the score to go up.
So next door we have Russell against Peter Moak. Peter got off to a 2-0 start.
Has a very nice end coming up here too. Got 3 pretty well around the jack. Although Russell is a second-year bowler from Manitoba, he's already doing quite well. Definitely a new experience for him here, but nonetheless a great learning experience.
Right beside them, Mike McNorton's up 5-0 over Leo Dusablon after 2 ends. I can't see the rink next to that's David.
And Jerome, I was going to say.
Jerome, yeah.
And that's the men's draw for this morning, and then it looks like we have in the women Jordan and Pauline playing off. Pauline taking a 2-0 lead after 2 ends.
Mary Wright and Lois Koss, with Lois grabbing 1 in the first end.
Is that Janet Watson and Jan Robinson?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. And Janet Watson off to also a 1-0 lead there.
And then Betty Van Wellingham and Marie Taylor, with Betty grabbing a 2-0 start.
After 2 ends, it looks like, so they're just finishing their third now.
Finishing their third, okay.
Playing quite quick.
Pretty good opening couple bowls here, as Bo just, I think, drew shot. Both these guys are opting to go with the straight hand, though. That's a interesting choice.
Though I guess you've seen this green 3 times. What seems to be the consensus on what hand people are playing a lot?
Well, it's interesting because it's usually someone picks the straight hand and someone picks the swoopy hand. In your game, Everett mastered that straight hand pretty quick, but
yes.
then when we were watching a few other games, it seemed to be whoever mastered the swoopy hand tended to do a little better. But
okay.
Game we watched yesterday between Jerome and Russell, Jerome figured out both hands really quick and just played them both really, really well.
Oh yeah, that's a tough thing to combat.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of confusion there between Marker and Ivo. Marker initially said Ivo was down 1, but then corrected herself, said sorry, you're up 1. Ivo's coming up just about jack high, but a little wide. It's deceptive here because I think both Bo and Ivo are using yellow stickers on their bowls.
Yes, it does look like that way. So
only way I can really tell them apart is the fact that Ivo has white dots on his dimples. But they're not even all the way around either. It's only
just certain sections of it too. Yeah. I was playing John Bjornsson yesterday, and we both have red bowls, and we both also had green stickers. Thankfully, he had the Saskatchewan green, and I had the PEI green. So
slightly different shades.
A little different shade, but quite interesting to watch down the green for sure.
Ivo's coming up well short there. I wonder if that was an intentionally placed guard.
Does force Bo to the wide hand there.
Bo could be close if he had the legs, but he's coming up short.
Probably a tendency you'll likely see on that wide hand, coming off the straight hand too.
Mm-hmm. Just throw it just a little bit harder. So if the mark is correct, then that'll be another 1 for Ivo.
It certainly looks that way.
Bo's kicking them in pretty quick.
And it does look like another 1 for Ivo.
So that'll make it 2-0 after 2. So you said both of these guys were 1 and 3?
Yeah, it looks like that. So definitely probably feeling a little bit of pressure this morning, which I wonder if that'll affect play a little bit. Now, you've definitely probably been in some pressure situations like this. How did you deal with them when you went through them?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The last time I played in this, actually, I had to win out after my first 3 games, and I managed to do that, but it wasn't easy. I'm not sure if I really had any tricks or secrets to it other than just buckled down and started playing better.
Yeah.
Didn't really think too much about it and just made the shots that you had to make.
I guess that's kind of the key, hey? Not to think about what's at stake and just focus on the bowls.
Mm-hmm. Now it's sort of the same situation for these guys here. They, in order to make it to the knockout stages, they'll both need to win out. Obviously, that can't be the case. Whoever loses this game will actually be ineligible to make it to the knockout rounds. You need to win greater than 50% of your games.
So in that tournament, or this tournament, I guess, it'll mean 4 out of the 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interestingly, I think this is, I don't think anyone else is at 4 losses yet in the standings. Just try and check really quick.
Yeah, that's kind of a frustrating position to be in once you hit that 4th loss, because then all you can do is play spoiler, really.
Yeah, tough to get up for games for sure, but also kind of fun, less pressure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this morning we're actually going to have quite a few players who are going to be looking to win out from today on. Looks like in the tournament we're going to have about 7 or 8, or 9 actually,
Really?
looking to win out from today on.
Ooh.
So it could be in for some good bowls.
Ivo's asking for the count there, as Bo just drew one in pretty close, but still one for Ivo there, sort of the left in the middle there. You'll see when I flip again. Pretty close to Jack High, I think, is the shot bowl. Ivo was struggling on that straight hand there. Unless he was intentionally throwing a back bowl, in which case he got the furthest back.
Has the T marked off there. A little bit of an interesting strategy change now, playing with that respot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last time it was here, so 2 years ago, was it still the respot? Do you remember?
I think it was, because I think we played sets last time too, right?
We did play sets. I just couldn't remember if it was a
Respot.
den end or not.
I don't remember. I feel like it was, but I don't remember trying to kill too many or really thinking about the respot either, I guess.
Nice adjustment for Ivo there.
Yeah, you're making me question now. Was it respot 2 years ago? I really don't remember.
Yeah.
Looks to be a little wide. So that'll probably be another one for Ivo. Should give him a 3-0 lead after 3. Next door, Peter is up 7-0 over Russell, and he's strung 3 pretty good bowls here.
Again,
Next door, yeah.
Peter seems to be playing really well on this home end. Well, the Russells come in with a clean take of the jack. Well, he might still be down 2, unfortunately.
Yeah, his bowl
Great,
went dead. So
great
still
bowl
down
though.
2. So yeah, that was one for Ivo. There we go. So David James is up 4-3 over Jerome Kirby.
I think that's a big game for David over there too. This could put him over.
Do you know if Jerome is 3-1 or 4-0?
Actually, yeah, I was looking at this. It looks like we already have 3 men qualified through to the playoff rounds right now. Pat Bird in Pool B is 4-0. Jerome Kirby in Pool C is 4-0, and then Brian Coleman in Pool D is 4-0 as well. So those 3 will be looking to advance their position later off in the playoffs now. Looks like Mike McNorton's up 6-1 after 4 against Leo.
Jordan Koss up 5-2 over Pauline Wong. Mary Wright up 4-2 over Lois Koss. I think Janet Watson's up 2-1 over Jan Robinson.
Marie Taylor and Betty Van are having a good battle over there, 3-3 right now. And looking at the standings for the women, actually, this is the battle of the leaders right now. So whoever wins this game over here, actually I think Betty's already through with that extra bye in 3 wins, but Marie Taylor will be looking to put herself in to the playoff rounds.
Sort of an interesting spot to be in for the women with an odd number. That means someone plays one less game, and it happened to be Betty Van Wellingham. So with one less game, it counts as a bye, so 3 match points, 2 set win points, I guess.
And any net points on that, or
nope.
No
zero in the plus minus.
Okay.
So it almost makes it a little easier for her to get through to the knockout rounds, but it makes it a little tougher for her to try to be in the top 1 or 2 rankings overall if it does go down to plus minus, because a 0 on a game isn't
very helpful for sure. No.
Yeah, not very often do you win a game with 0 for the plus minus.
Although I guess definitely possible in sets play.
Oh, there's a beauty bowl there from
Nice
Ivo.
shot.
Well played. Bo's not far away here.
No, he's looking to threaten at the jack
Got
there.
the
Oh, he
jack.
got it.
What a bowl. Ivo's not far away here, just needs to give his a roll.
Yeah, 1 flop would be good. Oh, or this could work.
Almost drew around it, wow. Bo's holding 1, but that's a tough spot to be in right now, because Ivo has 2 seconds and he's got a back pull as well, so I'm not sure what Bo's going to do here.
Looks like he's playing the wide hand here, which might be the good call, because on that straight hand you definitely threaten knocking Ivo's onto yours.
This is, I believe, the last bowl at the end, so Bo's just staying well away from that, saying I'll just take the 1 and run.
So in this situation, do you try and draw in close there, or do you want to elect to take the 1 and get the map back, try and change momentum in the game?
I would definitely just take the 1 at this point in the game, because it's still only the 4th end, so I want to get the map back and try to make a difference here early on. If it was the 7th or 8th end, then I might be doing something a little different, but seeing as how this is only the 4th end, they're not even halfway yet. A 1 makes it a 2-point game as well. And Bo is looking to maybe bring the mat up a few paces. Several paces. See how good his jack throwing skills are, and that looks
to be good.
Pretty good, I think.
Now this should change the lines up a little bit here for them. Although if I remember from our game, moving the mat didn't change too much on the straight hand. In the wide hand you're seeing a couple inches, so it might be a case of players actually over adjusting in this case.
So Ivo stepped things out and he took, I think, 6 paces. I don't know if he's going to call an umpire or not. Yeah.
There they go.
So he's calling an umpire to see if it's legal.
Oh.
Ivo was pacing things out there again, so based on his steps, I think he must be pretty confident.
I think they're going to the wrong green there. There you go.
A little bit of a hustle there out of Elaine.
Yeah.
morning jog. Big thanks to Emily and the whole officiating crew for umpiring all week. I believe it's the same officials for the most part.
Yeah, I think we have a core group of about 5, maybe 5 or 6.
Turns out to be good. Not sure about how much though, but I said it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little chilly out there.
Yeah, it looks like we have a bit of a haze. I was just looking up to try and figure out why it was all dark all of a sudden, but
very red sun right now.
yeah, we have a few fires up north right now, so likely going to see a bit of that smoke drift down south. A bit of a wind picking up again.
It's supposed to get warmer and windier as the week goes on.
Should make for fun green conditions. Although I don't know if anything will compare to that first day we had here.
Yeah, that first day was pretty drastic. I think Saturday might be close to that though. The wind gusts are supposed to be pretty heavy, which could make it very difficult for someone trying to go for gold.
Yes, definitely could. Well, and John and his crew have done a great job on the greens. They're running quite fast, although the one issue with that is when wind does pick up, bowls tend to be a little more affected by it.
That's a great bowl there from Ivo.
Looks like he even got a toucher out of that.
It's Trevor that's the greenskeeper here, right?
Yes, yeah, he was on the stream the other day, right?
Yeah, I had a nice little chat with him. I got to learn a little bit about how to take care of a green.
It's a very delicate process, and amazing how much goes into a green that you just don't see behind the scenes.
It takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So Bo's last bowl there is forcing Ivo onto his backhand, I think.
Probably be looking to tuck this jack in maybe just a little bit.
Sneak inside of Bo's bowl, maybe.
Well, I think Ivo even has pretty good position in the back there, so he's probably not too worried about a hit or anything like that.
I don't think he'd be too concerned. But I think you're right, he was probably just trying to tuck it in behind a little bit there, make it slightly tougher for Bo to get into. I think Bo is maybe a little wide, but it's just not there. Actually, I guess that was pretty good grass. Just needed another few feet. We'll see if Ivo can add another to his count, but he's coming up well short there, so he's just leaving well enough alone and taking the one and running. That'll make it 4-1 for Mr. Van Bastelaere. Looking around, Peter's off to a heck of a start, 12-0 over Russell.
He seems to be on quite a roll here.
Mike and Leo are having a good battle. Mr. McNorton up 6-5 after 6.
Now, Leo clearly making a pretty good comeback here because Mike was up 5-0
yeah,
for 2
like
there.
That, yeah.
So
yeah, so Leo storming back. Jordan Koss up 9-2 over Pauline Wong.
the battle of the pink bowls over there. Pink speckled versus solid pink.
Yeah. Mary Wright and Lois Koss all tied up at 4 after 4. Jan Robinson up 5-2 over Janet Watson after 5. And Marie Taylor and Betty Van Wellingham are all tied up at 4 after 6.
So looks like they just exchanged ones there, and could be a tight game at the far end over there.
Yeah, a battle for the top. And the only score we're missing right now is between David James Smith and Jerome, when the marker flipper is standing right in front of the scoreboard. So
Yeah,
I
you can see
that.
Jerome has 3.
Yeah, that's all we can see. Looks to to be a pretty...
9-3 for David, it looks like.
Okay. Looking at their green right now, looks to be a pretty good head, too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a really good game. Nine 3 after 4. So that means a lot of big ends.
Yeah, that's 12 points scored in 4 ends. Averaging 3 points an end for the players there.
All offense, no defense in that game. Ivo's coming up fairly short on this. Quite a few photographers here today. I know that your mom's been taking a lot of pictures, putting them up on the Bulls Manitoba Facebook page. And then
yes, she definitely has been busy there.
Ernie, to my right's been taking pictures and sending them back to Sarah in the office. And then, of course, Anne-Marie Seitman's always here with her camera, taking a lot of good pictures as well.
Yes, she does. She does a great job with those.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have those pictures coming out of a competition.
Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to see a good delivery shot.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Also a good way to see the funny faces people make while they deliver bowls.
Yeah. A lot of people have some very strange facial reactions.
Yes, it's interesting that that's the natural reaction people take. But and then if you're me, you can see my right knee go well outside my left knee.
It was bugging you the first day, but not so yesterday?
No, yeah, no.
Watching Ivo's delivery, he'll have to wait till after both's done, but it looks like he hardly even takes a step. Like, it's the very smallest step. I don't even know if he moves his foot.
All arm movement.
Almost all arm movement. So I guess that might be a little easier to adjust, but I think that might be a little tougher on the body by the end of the day.
Yeah, very small step.
Very small step.
Now you did a whole video this year on how to deliver a bowl. How'd you find that experience?
I found that very challenging, actually, because I hadn't rolled a bowl for quite a long time. So to go out there and then try to actually look good doing it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And there's quite a few things I'd actually go back and change if I could. Little small details.
So will we have a bunch of little Jakes running around delivering bowls in the future?
Yeah.
Copying the delivery now?
I guess there's quite a few people that have seen it. I know the reach on Facebook, we saw that there were 44,000 people that have watched it.
Oh, that's great.
So that's quite a few. Same with the other video that we released. I think that was also around 40,000 views as well. So that's awesome, given that there's only, I don't know, 13,000, 14,000 bowlers in Canada, something like that.
That's a really great reach. And one more to come, right? At least?
Yeah, we got one more in the works. It's supposed to be about sponsorship, so I'm not sure when that'll be coming out. It should be near production soon, I would think, but the intent with that is to help clubs go to local businesses and hopefully get a few more partnerships.
Yeah, that would be a great step for the sport there. I know that for this week especially, they've worked very hard to be partnering with local sponsors, and
well, they do have quite the list of local sponsors, which is great.
Yeah.
So that was another one for Ivo there. I think my mic's been dying a little bit. Hopefully, folks at home can hear me. Volume doesn't seem to be going up too much when I'm talking, but crank your sound, I suppose.
Apologies about the wind. It seems to be gusting a little bit, so you may be hearing that in the mics as well.
Might be hearing the tent flap. Big thanks to Wawanessa Insurance for getting the tents up. And of course, big thanks to our partners and sponsors, the Government of Canada through Sport Canada, Coaching Association of Canada, Kukri, our official clothing supplier, and lawnbowlingmanager.com. So this is end number 7 that they're starting. 4-point game. Still well within reach.
I will be looking to score at least another end here. Try and close things out a little bit more.
And he's just sticking around at the back there. Matt's up a pace or two, but Jack's probably close to the tee.
Looks to be almost on the tee.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Bo is just sticking around as well. These guys know how to draw the ditch board.
Yes, they certainly have figured that one out.
I think that's probably one of my favorite drills, is when you have the mat up close and try to draw the ditch board, and then as you succeed, bring the mat back further and further.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. Don't want to do that on a wet day. Get a lot of sand on your bowls for that one.
Yeah. You also want to make sure you're playing on a relatively flat surface. It's really tough to do when it slopes down at the end. Trying to draw to the ditch board, it's almost impossible on some greens.
They could use a green with a little more plinth at the end too, and it could make it a little easier.
Yeah, that's true.
I know John does a lot of work in the fall and the spring, especially to make sure that these greens don't see too much of a slope. And down at the end green there, when we're going the other direction, you might see a little bit of a slope, but for the most part, John has worked very hard over the last few years to make sure that these greens don't see that kind of tendency.
Based off of these two guys' first bowls, I'd say that there's not a whole lot of a slope at the end there, as they both drew the ditch board relatively close and relatively easily too.
Yes.
So it looks like Ivo's been loving the straight hand, and Bo's been trying to figure out that swoop.
It's challenging in games when you feel like the first few ends don't go your way, or you're having trouble finding a groove, because then you quite often start questioning what hand you want to be playing. I know in my game we had talked about it after too, and that was kind of the death of me, as Everett really mastered that straight hand, whereas I was struggling to find a consistent finish on that wide hand, and ended up bouncing back and forth. And in a singles game, that can be very difficult to manage a few good ends out of that.
That's a really tough thing to do when you're struggling to find one hand. You're quite often switching back and forth, and once you found a hand, it's easy to stick to it because you've already found it. But when you don't quite have it down pat, it's tough to try to stay with it.
Certainly. And I think also on this green, especially with the wide and the straight hand, if you see wind gusts, the wide hand then becomes a little more volatile, less consistent. Whereas that straight hand, you might see a change in your weight, but more or less stays on the same line.
Looks like the umpires had a pretty long measure. I'm not sure what rink they were measuring on, but got the massive string all.
I think that was Peter's game there against Russell. So Russell's going to be looking for a strong second set here. Looks like Peter's taking the first now, but the one nice part about sets is no matter how bad you lose the first one, you're still in the game no matter what. It can also be the downside of sets, I guess, because no matter how well you win the first game, you're still not quite guaranteed it.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Looking at the far end there, it looks like Marie Taylor and Betty Van are playing their last end. Betty needing 2 to tie the set here. One more bowl to come for both players.
Next door to them, Jan Robinson up 9-3 over Janet Watson after 7. Lowest cost is down 7-4 to Mary Wright after 6. And Jordan Koss picked up the first set over Pauline Wong. David James Smith up 12-4 over Jerome. Mike McNorton up 12-6 over Leo. Peter Moak is up 15-zip over Russell. And of course here it's 6-1 for Ivo, and they're playing the 8th end right now. Couple of good opening bowls here from Bo and Ivo. This might be the first time I've ever streamed a game where both of the players' names end with an O. It's a very unique ending to a name. So Bo is playing around to the back.
Ivo's sitting 2 in there right now. With a bit of pace down here on that straight hand. Oh,
Looking to make a change.
certainly cuts 1 out for sure.
Got a full list from Bo for shoutouts. Wants to say hello to Ryan, Julie, Henry, Lauren, Dave, and Jill. I'm not sure if those are all... Well, I think they must be family. Son Ryan, daughter-in-law Julie, grandson Henry, daughter Lauren, sister-in-law Dave, granddaughter Jill, daughter Jordan, wife Lois are both playing. So Bo works as a letter carrier at the Canada Post. I did not know that. 7 years bowling. Likes to go to Europe and Australia for vacation spots.
Nice spots to choose.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice. Using Drake's Pride Professional size 3.
Bit of a change from Ivo's size 7s there.
Oh, I was mistaken. He's using Henselite Classic 2 size 6. So I guess he's not whipping out the size 7 here. He's only using the size 6. Disappointed, Ivo.
Interesting. I noticed Ivo when he looks at bowls, he's putting down the golf ball at the end of his carrier there, and that's how he measures out the center between 2 of them. It's kind of like how people put their foots down. He seems to put his golf ball a little more of an accurate spot, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Interesting. Ivo's wife Anne is over there giving water to Ivo and offered some to Bo, but Bo politely said, "No, I'm good, thanks." So Ivo was a, I'm not sure if it is or was, I think he's retired, but I'm not sure on that, a professional engineer, but he's originally from Manitoba right now, from Sydney, BC, but I'm curious whereabouts in Manitoba he was from.
Interesting, yeah. Wonder if he was at the U of M for engineering, or maybe he went out to...
Yeah, maybe.
A couple of BC schools have quite nice engineering programs, I know that, so...
Favorite vacation spot is Sun City, Arizona, and I know that he goes down there during the winter to bowl, so I would assume he's probably got a place down there. I don't know if I'd really call it a vacation then anymore, if that's where you go every winter. It's not so much a vacation, it's almost a second home.
Nice to look at like a vacation, I guess.
I guess. So we've got quite a few years here. Bo's been playing for 7 years, Ivo's been playing for 16. Claim to fame, 2017 BC Provincial Singles. Married to Anne Van Bastelaere. And finally made it to a Nationals. Anne's been to many Nationals, and I think this is maybe a first time for Ivo.
Well, BC is such a tough province to get out of. They have a lot of great bowlers there.
Mm-hmm. So Bo's claim to fame is Provincial Fours 2016. That's what he's got on his rep sheet. So Bo really needed to count that last end to keep the set alive. Since he didn't, this set is pretty much done, as it's impossible for Bo to catch up. So Ivo will take the first set, and this end here now is more or less just for practice.
Looks like we've had a few sets end now. Looks like at the end there, Betty must have scored the 2 to tie it up. I also noticed that David James took his set, as well as Jordan. Peter also.
Peter, yeah.
And I think Mike did there.
Yeah, he was up quite a bit, so yeah, Mike took the first set over Leo. That's interesting that Marie Taylor and Betty Van tied their first set, because they're the two in top spots right now, so they're really battling out for that top seed.
Well, it definitely didn't look like a comeback story, almost shot for shot for the two players there in that last set.
Tied the whole way pretty much. I remember several years ago when the under-25s used to be sets. I was playing against Mike Batuli, and there was sort of a funny glitch in the rules where back then a tied set gave you half point, but playing a tiebreaker also gave you points for winning that set as well. So we agreed right off the get-go that we'd do our best to try to get to a tiebreaker, so that way we could get the most set points as possible.
Interesting.
Kind of a glitch in the rules. That's no longer the case now. A tiebreaker set doesn't count as any set points, but
it almost punishes you for winning straight sets.
Yeah,
there, then.
It almost does. So when we saw that glitch, we said, hey, let's do our best to get to a tiebreak here, because that way we both maximize from it. Not the case anymore. Bo is just a little quick, but found a friend that could be enough for shot. That would give him 1, but regardless, the set goes to Ivo. Not really sure how I can show that Ivo won the first set, because his name is so big it takes up the entire scoreboard. If I put a 1 there, starts to sort of run off into the... I guess I could just use his initials. Well,
there you go, better now.
You'll know that on the bottom it's Ivo.
Next door there, Russell just made a great shot to knock the jack out of bounds on the respot, and then Peter responds to the beautiful draw to the tee there.
That can sometimes be the most frustrating thing, when you make a great shot and then someone turns around and counters it and just draws it cold. Looking around, it's 2-2 between Mike McNorton and Leo Dusablon in the second set. 3-2, Pauline Wong over Jordan Koss in the second set. Mary Wright's up 11-4 over Lois Koss, and they're still finishing up the first set. And Jan Robinson won 9-6 to take the first set over Janet Watson. Betty Van Wellingham's up 2-0 over Marie Taylor in the second set. Peter Moak took a 1-0 lead there over Russell to start the second set. And we're just getting underway in the second set here. Bo is just sliding by there. Sticking around though. He's got the mat up quite a pace again.
Where did Ivo's first bowl go?
I think the Bo actually started, which I'm not sure if that's...
No, I don't think that's the correct
way to start.
No.
Because it's whoever wins the set starts, right? Or
yeah, it should be so.
So I guess Bo probably won the last end there.
Yeah.
Just kept on going, but... the end's already started, so it's too late to do anything about it now.
For next time, I guess.
I wonder if there is actually something you could do about it. Maybe Ivo bowls, or if Bo threw 2 in a row to try to fix that. But we'd need to look at a rule book for that. I don't know.
Well, and interestingly enough, right, don't get to choose a jack length, although given that last bowl of Ivo, I'm not sure if he's going to be too upset about that anyways.
I don't think he'd be too upset. And to be honest, I wouldn't really care one way or the other because I'm okay with having the hammer. Sometimes I prefer it. One of the reasons why it's really good to play sets is so that you can get this experience down before you try to play internationally anywhere. You can learn the ins and outs, such as winner of the set starts the next set.
Bo's coming on a little pace here again.
Looking to get Ivo off it and just a little wide.
So now the question is Ivo's front bowls in the count there with Bo's back, or?
I was gonna say if I was Ivo right now, I'd be looking to pick Bo's back bowl because that's worth at least 3. But he's not. He's just looking to draw in. Really good weight. That'll be in the count. Although it's leaning the wrong way against the bias, so it might not be after it falls over. So I'm told that our audio is really good, but our video quality is really bad. So that's kind of really disappointing. But aside from restarting the router, there's not a whole lot that we can do about that, so apologies.
We did try the tinfoil antennas this morning. It didn't work the best.
Good idea, though. That was definitely worth a try to see if we could get the signal better. So that was 2 for Ivo to start, so I guess he's probably not too upset that Bo took the mat there that first end. And he's stretching things out here again. Mat's up a few paces, but the jack's going back 3/4 length. Now that haze is blown over, it's turning out to be a pretty clear, sunny day.
That little section's gone now, and the sun is definitely out.
Did you find that the speed picked up a lot between games 1 and 2 for you on the first day? Because you play one and then you sit one and then you play another.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, I think, about a 4-hour gap almost between the 2 games you play, which is a little different. The first day for sure, I noticed it a lot because of the wind. You went from a head-on wind and then a wind behind you, playing I guess what this north-south, and then playing east-west. You're facing a crosswind instead, which is a little different. But the green seems to be running at a fairly consistent pace.
Beauty bowl there from Bo. Putting some pressure on Ivo. think Ivo is struggling to find the line here on the straight-hander now. Well, I guess that was a good line, just well through the head. Bo has added another to the count. Here's a better pull from Ivo.
Looking like a good counter here.
Yeah. Wow. That held up so much. Should be one for Ivo right now, I would think.
I would assume so, yeah. Looks like he's right on it with that.
Next door, Russell's off to a 3-1 lead over Peter Moak in the second set. Mike McNorton up 3-2 over Leo in the second set. Jerome's up 2-1 over David James Smith.
Looks like a little more of a defensive set for those two now.
Yeah, after the 12 points in 4 ends.
It could just be a bit of them settling in too.
Pauline Wong up 4-2 over Jordan Koss in the second set. Lois Koss, Mary Wright haven't quite started their second set yet, but Jan Robinson grabbed a 3-0 start over Janet Watson in the first end of the second set. And down at the far end, the battle of the top dogs between Marie Taylor and Betty Van are all tied up at 2 again.
Tied again.
That'll be a battle down to the wire. I wouldn't be surprised if they tie the second set as well and then have to go to a tiebreaker because they've tied both sets.
That would be an interesting situation for sure, but yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised out of those two. Interesting how much Marie Taylor and Malky practice. Every morning they're out here, and then I noticed yesterday Malky was on the artificial.
Oh yeah.
Day in and day out almost, in between draws, so.
Dedication.
Yes, definitely dedicated.
Good effort there from Bo, just through the port. You're out here pretty much every morning at 7:30 throughout the year to roll a few?
Yeah, no, before work I try and get out. This year I spent a lot of time actually on the artificial across here at Dakota there, getting ready for Dartmouth in the juniors. But yeah, I've spent a lot of mornings here, a couple evenings as well. The bugs have been great this year, so you can actually get a few more hours in actually at the end of the day, which is quite nice.
You were saying John Barron's out there with you a lot of the times. He's there earlier than you sometimes.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shock when you leave your house at 7 or 7:15 to go practice, and all of a sudden someone's there before you. I'm usually scraping myself out of bed, so I don't know how they do it so early. They don't have anywhere to be after either usually, so.
A retired life must be nice.
Yeah, and I mean, a long way to go for that one for us, I guess. But one day we'll find out about that.
First time I went to Arizona, I think I was only 17 or 18. And after going once, I said, "Man, I'd really like to retire down here someday." So only another 50 years to go, and I'll be back.
He's got his spot picked out already.
Yeah. So Ivo picked up 2 that last end to give him a 4-0 start after 2 ends in the second set. One thing that I've really noticed from the games I've been streaming here is that it tends to be whoever wins the first set wins the second set as well, and I've noticed a few games where whoever lost the first set sort of didn't really restart going into the second set, throwing a few drives right off the get-go and getting really frustrated first or second end of the second set, where you really don't need to because it's a whole start to a new game. So
it's really tough to kind of find that mentality to restart everything and forget about any kind of bad bounces you've had or inconsistencies. A lot of times you might come out of that first set not very happy with how you play, but especially this early in the morning, it could just be kind of haven't woken up quite yet, and so you find yourself getting loose. You can bowl some good bowls. These guys have had some great ends so far. It's looking out to be a very tight head.
I was gonna say these first two bowls here are bang on. Bo's not a mile away here again.
No, I want a little bit of contact on Ivo's. Oh,
it's coming up a little short. Wow.
It sets the next bowl up in a good position. Any contact on Bo's might actually split Ivo's off quite nicely.
Bo's definitely giving himself a chance here. Despite the score of that first set, I'd say that Bo's been playing better than the score indicated.
Oh, for sure, yeah. No, a lot of ones in that last set there.
4-0 here in this set. I wouldn't be surprised if Bo can grab a couple. Don't think he added the weight on this, though.
He might add it just enough here, actually. Okay, well, it sets up a not bad spot.
Ivo's asking what the count is, and yeah, Ivo's still holding one, but tough spot to be in here is you've only got one bowl in the head there.
You've got to feel for Bo. He's got 3 bowls within maybe 1.5 feet of the jack, and he's still down 1.
That can be so frustrating when you have 3 bowls within a few inches and you're still not counting.
Well, and the consistency that takes to do, and he's still not quite there.
What do you do if you're Ivo here right now? Because you definitely need another bowl in the head there, but I'm not sure how you're going to go about doing it, because you don't want to make the head any wider and make it easier for Bo to get in.
Yeah, then maybe on that straight hide, you try and slip by your own, and the rest Bo's back one would be maybe the best spot. I wouldn't want to play that wide hand given how much it's going to swing, but looks like he's playing the straight hand.
Yeah, I think that might be the best bet, and then even if you do crash on your own and roll it in a little bit closer and try to make it a different angle.
Yeah, I mean, on this straight hand at worst, if you really get unlucky here, you're giving up one, although he's drawing this perfectly. Wow.
What a beautiful bowl.
Great shot.
Almost exactly how you called it. Just come on down to Bo's back.
I have to talk to him about a coaching position, maybe.
So before you went to Australia there, I think I read somewhere that you had a sports psychologist help you out?
Yes, yeah. I used someone down at the university, one of my brother's friends. Marina was her name, and she's been helping me out. She's the visualization script and everything, so kind of a good way to mentally prepare, especially I found for an event like that. I had never seen it, obviously. So tough to kind of get comfortable there, and it was a good way to kind of be able to center yourself and focus and kind of pre-game prepare. Oh, unlucky for Bo here.
Very unfortunate result, as he might have just brought another one of Ivo's into the head. For those of you who don't know, Robbie went to the Gold Coast to compete in the World Youth Championships earlier this year.
Yeah, that was quite an experience, to say the least.
Looks like Bo quickly conceded 3 there, but I'm not sure.
Imagine so.
You went, what, 3 and 4 while you were there? Something like that?
In the pairs, yeah, I think we went 3 and 5 maybe. I don't think we got a chance to play our last game, which was a little unfortunate. No, we went 4 and 5. We didn't get a chance because I wanted to finish 50-50 there.
Right.
Which was a little upsetting to not be able to play, but was quite happy with how he played. My partner was Nicole LeBlanc from Ontario. If she's watching, shout out to Nicole. But she was a great front end. We managed some great games. Ended up beating Aaron Tees and Ellen Ryan from Australia, which was a great little accomplishment, to say the least. I was quite happy with that.
That's a huge win.
And we unfortunately lost 3 games down there by 1 point. So
that's frustrating, but good games though.
Yeah, no, good takeaway from that. The singles was a little tougher. Those guys are pretty unreal.
And of course, you had to play through, what was it, Cyclone Debbie?
Yes, we got relocated to Tweed's Head Bowling Club from Broad Beach the one day because the greens are actually flooded. But yeah, some crazy winds coming off the coast off that one for sure. I didn't know this when I was down there. Maybe I should have paid attention in science class a little more. But apparently, a cyclone is a hurricane in the southern hemisphere. So it was pretty serious. I didn't realize how serious it was when I was down there. But the winds were something else.
I wonder why it has a different name, just for being in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, I was. I can't explain that to you. But nonetheless, a neat experience to be able to play indoors at Tweed's Head. I think they had 8 rinks inside, which is massive. And those clubs, compared to the Canadian clubs, are amazing how big they are.
Yeah, they're huge.
Most of them have casinos inside and everything, so kind of a neat environment down there.
The Pokies. Next door, Peter Mokes tied it up at 3 with Russell. Leo's got an 8-3 lead over Mike McNorton. Pauline Wong is up 4-3 over Jordan Koss. Mary Wright up 4-0 over Lois Koss. 3-3 tie game between Marie Taylor and Betty Van Wallingham. That's 10-0 for Jan Robinson over Janet Watson. Bo's going to go down and take a peek. And once again, I can't quite see that scoreboard between Jerome and David James.
That flipper likes to stand right in that spot.
There.
Yeah,
Which is deadly. I think David James is at either 6. I think that's a 6. Now that Bo is back, he'll see if he can do some damage down there. I think he's crashing. Yeah. Crashed on the front. So that makes things incredibly wide open here for Ivo.
although it does open it up for Bo on his next shot as well, which is maybe a bit of a blessing. I can see he's a little frustrated right now, so hopefully he can calm himself and make this next draw.
Sometimes that can be tough to hide your frustration. Definitely don't want to let that show, though, because as soon as your opponent sees you're frustrated, that's feather in the cap.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely usually doesn't do many favors for you as a bowler while you're playing.
I think Ivo's got a pretty good bowl here. Not sure if he's there, though.
Looks a little short, yeah.
Coming up a little bit short.
A pretty good bowl, though, still, nonetheless. Probably maybe a couple of feet out from the jack there.
Bo is still playing that swoopy hand. Don't think he likes it. He picked the mat up right away.
No. It's looking not bad here. slow down a little bit.
Pretty close.
Yeah, great effort there. Might find itself in the count, maybe as a second shot there. I still have a feeling Ivo's last bowl might be beating that out, though.
Yeah, it's tough to tell.
It's amazing how much a head can change from the mat end to when you walk up to it. Did you have any tips or tricks when you were looking down from the mat to tell bowls apart?
Maybe not for telling bowls apart, but for distance from bowl to jack. I know Daryl ran this at the mini camp in Dartmouth, but I'm not sure if the first time I saw it was at a training camp in Arizona that we were at, but can't remember who the coach was that we had at the time, but he put the jack a foot or two behind the bowl and then had someone go down and stand at the mat and try to guess how far the jack was from the bowl, and then he kept playing different distances, whether the jack was an inch behind or 12 inches, 15 inches, and whatnot. And so you got to be really good at determining how far the bowl was in front of the jack based off of what you could see and what you couldn't see.
Well, I've always heard if you can see the jack, it's about a meter right behind the bowl, and then if there's a distance, it's 2 or something like that.
It's definitely beneficial to play around with that beforehand when you're not in a game, so that way when you are in a game you actually know how far away it is, and you're not thinking that it's locked on, because a lot of times it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough mental game, and I remember starting early on, they always said you want one bowl kind of in that sight line, but because most players come up short of that bowl when they all of a sudden have that guard in place.
So I finally saw for a second, it's 6-1 Jerome Kirby over David James Smith after 4.
Oh, okay.
Flipper moved off to the side just for an instant. Yeah, I guess I have relatively good eyesight, I guess, that I'm never really confused about whose bowls are whose, but I also watch every bowl as it goes down.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think most time, in the game, you can tell which bowls are apart. It gets a little tougher in team games, I've found, though, because it's a little, sometimes when you're looking at your own bowls and then your teammates' bowls, you're not as used to them.
It can be really tricky when you don't know anybody on your team or your opponent's team, and you're just thrown in there to know whose bowls are whose.
Yeah, exactly. The wind's starting to pick up here, so I'll be curious to see how that affects our head in this next end.
Ivo's a good 6 feet past on his first, and Bo is coming down
Also quite quick.
even more than that.
Bo's interesting in going off that wide hand, going away from home, and home end he's playing the straight hand, so he's probably going to have a natural adjustment in his weight anyways.
Looks like a better bowl here from Ivo.
It's coming in nicely here.
Just coming up about a foot short. Maybe 2. Now is when what we were just talking about comes in handy, to know that there's, a foot and a half separation between the jack and the bowl, because looking at the camera view right now.
Oh wow.
Beauty bowl, that's
Bo
shot
played
itself.
it perfectly there. And I'm thinking from the mat there, they might actually be able to see a bit of the jack peeking out on that right side of those bowls. But I think from our camera angle, yeah, it does look very well buried there.
There's still probably, 5 inches, 6 inches separation between Bo's bowl and the jack.
Still a bit of room.
Beautiful bowl there from Bo to be able to draw around that, though.
Now, Ivo's electing the straight hand here, although it might work quite well for him. No, it does.
Almost.
Now, does he switch on his next hand, or on his next bowl, play into Bo's to try and slip it, or would you stay on that same hand, because you've played it 3 times now? And with an 8-0 lead, too, to consider.
I'd be tempted to switch hands, but that's 2 reasons. One, I'd probably have been playing that other hand the whole game, because I like a swoopy hand way better than a straight hand. Well, that changes things here again. I'd still probably play that hand, just because I'd find it easier. You have more room to work with. If you're too narrow, you can come off your own. If you're a little wide, you can push yours in. You have a few more options. Whereas if you're on that straight hand, I don't think the percentages and angles are quite as nice.
No, yeah, that straight hand looks like you're going to be running bows pretty well straight into the jack at this point.
It's not really what you want. I know that Ivo does have a back bowl, but it'd be much more convenient if he could just roll bow over once.
Yeah, if he could roll bow once and stick there, he's sitting 2 likely. Now, Bo does own the backest bowl, which may be something to consider for Ivo here.
Ivo owns the tee, though, so I mean, you're going to have to be careful depending on
how much weight you play, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not a lot of up-weight shots, actually, in this game, now that I think about it.
Really nothing.
A lot of draw bowling.
Very draw game. I haven't seen a whole lot of up-weight shots overall, actually. You see the odd one here or there, but...
Wow, that worked out very well for Ivo there.
Worked out splendidly.
Knocked his own onto the jack there. Tough to see from the camera angle. But the 3 bowls on the left, there's Ivo's bows, and then Ivo's right on the jack.
Bo is playing with a little bit of weight here. And
it's not going to work quite for him, but...
So that's 1 for Ivo.
Now if you're Bo here, do you start playing a little more aggressive? You got 4 ends left to recoup 9 points.
9-0, yeah, absolutely. I'd be starting to play aggressive. I might be making sure all my bowls are a couple feet past the jack and then try to trail it later, or...
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's interesting how much of not having short bowls makes a difference. This year I've been really trying to keep track of that. Working with Daryl, that was kind of one of his big feedbacks coming out of Australia, was short bowls are kind of killer, especially in a singles game. So I keep track of how many I throw in a game, and there is quite a correlation between how many short bowls you throw and the result of your game. You leave yourself a lot of opportunities with a bowl that's 2 feet through the head versus one that's 2 feet short of the head.
The first time that we played Team Scotland at a training camp a couple years ago in Florida, I was playing 4s, and I think I was second, and I was on Ryan Besser's team, and I was just struggling the whole game, so all I was trying to do was make sure I was at least reaching, and a lot of times I'd be jack high, but really nowhere near, and so last end I was just thinking to myself, I gotta make sure I'm at least past the jack, and so both my bowls were, one was probably 2 feet past, the other was maybe 6 feet past, and that ended up being the game winner because Scotland ended up chipping the jack back that first 2 feet, so I was lying 1, and then they made a shot again and chipped it back further to my one that was 6 feet past, and so that's how we ended up winning the game that way, which was sort of disappointing for me because I'd like to be able to play a lot better than just trying to throw back bowls. But
yeah.
Worst case scenario, they do come in handy.
And what surface was that on? That was
at the Sarasota Lawn Bowling Club, so that was grass, and it was only probably 11 seconds, if that. They slowed it right down to try to mimic it to what you'd find in Scotland before the
Commonwealth Games. I remember going to PIBC for the first time for camp last year, and that was an adjustment for sure. It was running like 16 seconds. It was first time on a green that quick. It was something to learn from for sure.
Yeah, your first time on a fast green it's tough to adjust, but once you've done it a couple times, it's quite enjoyable to be on a fast surface.
Yeah, for NAC it was a lot more fun to play on for sure. Amazing how true that green runs as well.
Terry O'Neill's told me quite a few stories about artificial surfaces and the underlay, and how I think it's at Dartmouth where they have a bit of a felt underlay to try to slow it down.
Yeah, we were talking about that at dinner the other day. That's right.
But at the PIBC, I don't think they have any sort of felt underlay, and that's the difference between a 16-second artificial and a 12-second artificial, is if you have any bit of felt underneath. Because I guess that slows it down.
Yeah, PIBC you definitely hear if you drop a bowl too, whereas at Dartmouth you wouldn't. I remember my first time going there, it was quite embarrassing almost, because people are rolling them so smooth, and if you then kind of jam one right into the carpet, and everyone hears about it.
Yeah, so. It echoes in there. It's quite loud. Flood. Beauty bowl here from Ivo. Really wish we could have a PIBC in every province. There, it's
certainly would be nice, eh?
Beautiful facility. It's got 6 rinks with pillars down the middle, so it's sort of like 2 decks of 3. But absolutely gorgeous facility to play at. Greens are nice and fast. True.
It's very true, yeah. And so, if you played on a fast surface like that, were you changing your bowls, or did you stick with what do you normally, or you used to throw?
Yeah, so I throw spectrums, which are primarily good for a slower surface. If I were to be playing on the VIBC, I would definitely be switching to something with a narrower bias. When I was in Australia, I can't remember what I used. They were set from the club. What did you use when you were in Australia?
Ryan let us use SRs from the club. So
Yeah,
Taylor SRs were.
That's what I used, yeah.
And they were running, I would say, about an ace on a slower surface. It felt very similar in line, maybe a bit wider, but you know, Priscilla for the past years has used her aces down there, and this was the first year I think that she had used. She used 10 slates, so it's Dreamlines. So.
Interesting. I know when the year that I went, the guy from USA used his aces down there for the first half of the event, and then once it really picked up pace, then he had to switch to, I don't know if he used XGs or something else, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, even with, like, the XGs were curling quite a bit, so...
I found even last time that I was here playing on the artificial over there next door, my spectrums were a little tough to control, just because when the pace gets a little faster than 14, it's...
Definitely a sharp hook on them at the end, which is difficult to manage sometimes.
Big finish. Normally I don't notice too much of a finish on them, but I guess on a faster surface it really starts to show.
Well, and they're great to have on a slower green, because you can get around most anything. But yeah, once you get on those fast greens, controlling your weight as well as reaching that line is quite a challenge sometimes.
It's a good opening goal there from Ivo. So this is end number 7. So Bo definitely needs to count here as he's down 8 with 3 ends to go. Next door, Peter Moak is up 10-3 over Russell.
Russell's going to need to be scoring at least a 3 here, unfortunately, to keep the game alive. Although it looks like he's not in bad position there, which is
yeah, he could be laying
promising.
2 right there already. Next door to them, Leo Dusablon's up 10-4 over Mike McNorton. Jerome Kirby up 9-1 over David James Smith.
That one looks like it's going to be going to tie breaks, unless... what end is that on there?
I can't quite see. Mikey's right in front of the score. They're playing number 7. Further on down, Pauline Wong up 8-5 over Jordan Koss. They're playing number 9. Mary Wright up 11-1 over Lois Koss.
And surprise, surprise, Betty Van and Marie Taylor are 5-4, playing 9.
So Betty needs 1 to tie it, and nope.
I'm not sure if that's happened.
So Marie Taylor has taken the set and taken the win. So Marie Taylor is now in sole position of first spot for the women. Jan Robinson up 14-zip over Janet Watson.
Looks like she's really turned the burners on for this last set here.
And of course here it's 9-1 for Ivo over Bo.
I guess Bo's going to be looking to at least score here, because he needs 8 to tie, so he's going to want at least 1 to put himself in position to win the set.
Unfortunately, I think he's out of bullets, as Ivo has 1 bull left here, and he's walking down to take a look, and Ivo's lying 1 already, maybe
a second
2.
on the side there, yeah.
So, really not a whole lot of damage to be done here if Ivo throws it, but if nothing changes, then he's pretty much secured the game.
I know net points matter, but if you're Ivo, do you roll this bowl?
I'm probably very cautious with it.
It looks like he is too wide, but
did come down and take a look, and yeah, he's probably in the count with that.
Oh,
maybe.
there you go.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe a little heavy. I know yesterday I was playing Terry O'Neill, and in the second set there, it was kind of the same situation. He was sitting 1 though, and I knew he needed 2. But I had a nice takeout that was very tempting to throw. But I knew if I took my own out, it was going to be a nice draw for 3, maybe even a 4th, depending on what I had done in the back there. So I elected to more just draw in another second, kind of secure that set win.
That is the smart thing to do, and it's surprising how many people elect to throw drives when they don't need to.
Especially in singles play, it can definitely turn on you quite quick. Not a lot of bowls to recover a bad takeout or a bad bounce.
Very rarely will I be throwing a drive when I'm in the lead.
No, yeah.
I'm very okay with just drawing second shot and giving up 1.
A good second bowl is usually, if you can control second for most of the game, you're usually not going to be in bad position.
So that was 3 for Ivo, so that secures the game for him, as that was end number 7, so they just have up and back to go, but it's an 11-point game, so it's out of reach for Bo at this point. So now he's just looking to improve on his plus-minus. I find that to be the most difficult thing, to try to still play hard and improve your plus-minus when you've already lost the game.
Yeah, very difficult for sure.
It's incredibly hard to still stay focused and actually try to bowl well in the game.
And especially with 2 ends left, it's a little more difficult. Sure, Bo's also probably dealing with the disappointment. He probably likely knows this by now, that he's not going to be in the playoffs, which is a little unfortunate as well.
That's right. The loser of this game has their 4th loss, so cannot make it to the knockout rounds. So Mike McNorton and Leo Dussablon are starting the first end of their tiebreak. Not sure if anybody else is following suit, but I think there might be a couple of other tiebreakers around.
Yeah, it looks like Jordan Koss and Pauline will be starting their tiebreak now.
Yep, they're just about to be starting that. And then Jerome Kirby and David James Smith are likely to go to a tiebreak unless David James picks up a handful.
He's going to need, I guess, a 4-ender and a 3-ender here to keep that chance alive.
So I was reading through the conditions of play yesterday, and assuming that I understood it right, I believe that players are ranked for each section, and then the section winners are ranked ahead of everybody else. So since there's 4 pools for the men, so whoever's first for each pool will be ranked 1, 2, 3, 4.
Interesting.
And then after that, everybody else gets ranked, which shouldn't be too difficult to determine who's the section winner, but ranking the other potentially 28 guys after that could take a lot of figuring out to do.
Yeah, a lot of time for sure. I know John has built in an extra hour into our draw to try and accommodate for that need for some extra time to figure out who's playing who.
Good thinking on his part, because I definitely didn't even consider that when looking at putting the schedule together.
Always good to be able to leave yourself some time to double check those decisions. I know you had to do the calculating for the majors there in Victoria.
Yeah,
which I'm sure is a pressure situation to be in.
I sort of stepped in and helped out Davey and George. I know that George had it all ready to go, and he easily would have been able to do it, but I just happened to be in the office, so I said I'd help out. Kind of difficult to rank teams, since all the tiebreakers were on the greens at the majors, but if there were 3 teams tied, you had to rank them 1, 2, 3 to figure out who played who in the first mini tiebreak.
We had a lot of tiebreakers that day, which was quite exciting to say the least.
Yeah, there were quite a few, and then to rank them several of the teams were tied. I think it went down to the third or fourth tiebreaker just to try to rank them. So that took a fair bit of calculating to do to figure out who's actually seeded 1, 2, and 3 out of those teams. And then I also helped out with the seniors as they had a 4-way tie for second in the women's and a 4-way tie for fourth in the men's.
Wow.
So that took some figuring out to do.
There have been some really tight tournaments this year.
That's a tough spot to be in for the women, because a 4-way tie for second, unless you come out as number 1 out of that to play for gold.
Yeah.
The other 2 are playing for bronze, but someone came out of that
Not playing at all.
Not playing at all.
That's
tough when
it's
you're
a heartbreaker.
tied for second and come out not playing for anything. The key to that was to just win the first mini tiebreak, because then that way you're guaranteed either playing for gold or playing for bronze.
Yeah, you gotta win one of those tiebreaker games. But tough to do in a pressure situation, especially if you're new to the pressure.
It is, and it's not a whole game either. It's only a half game, so.
That's right, because the new rules, you play it out no matter what. But
it's tough to do when you play half a game, because if you get a bad break or give up a big end, it's really hard to come back from that when you're only playing 8 ends or 9 ends.
Well, and you see that similarly in the sets play here, a 4-ender or one bad kind of loose end, and you find yourself down.
Yeah, you're fighting the whole way.
Exactly.
So that was another one for Ivo there to make it 13-1 as they will be starting the last end of the game.
Now, kind of nice, they've changed those rules, right? So before it used to come quite often to net points or plus minus in that sense, and people were not happy to not be able to play stuff out on the green. So thankfully we've got an opportunity to play out any tiebreakers.
It's interesting. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about that, as some people think, at the international level, any ties are broken on paper, so you don't actually get that second chance to play a tiebreak or anything like that. So why are we doing that here? Which is a valid point, but at the same time, almost every player that I've talked to likes to have that chance to play it out on the green, and it doesn't really matter whether you're ranked first, second, third, or fourth. If you get a chance to play it on the green, you still have a chance to win your way into the
Exactly.
round.
Well, and I mean, on the times where it works in your favor, it's certainly nice, but there's also times where it definitely does not work in your favor, and you don't forget those.
Yep. Yeah.
To be missing out, especially for the women there, to be missing out on a gold medal game because you didn't get a chance to play would be really difficult.
Yeah, that would have been really difficult if they didn't have tiebreakers on the green, to be tied for second and find out you're not playing for anything.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't have enough points or whatever.
So it looks like Leo and Mike are going into a tiebreaker as well over there.
And Leo picked up 1 on the first end of the tiebreak. The boys next door have finished their game with Peter Moak picking up the straight set victory over Russell.
Bo could be playing for a big end here. Maybe he's got 2 back bowls set up, kind of scattered, but
might be looking to bring the jack back, maybe.
Looks like Ivo's gonna have something to say about that, though.
Yep, drawing right
off
to
the tee. Yeah.
Bazinga. Jordan Koss and Pauline Wong are in a tiebreak, and Jordan picked up 1 the first end of that tiebreak.
Bo's drawing a close one in. See if they'll be bringing the heat on the next one, maybe.
Oh, what a shot from Ivo.
Wow.
Even when it's down at the end, still getting them in there.
Both looking like he's electing a draw here.
And I think he's
A
coming
little
up
bit
short.
short. That's too bad.
So that'll be another one for Ivo to finish out that game, 14-1.
Kind of unfortunate. Both played a pretty good game there, actually, and still didn't get the results, unfortunately. The score definitely doesn't reflect how the game was played.
So currently only 10:30, not even local time, so we'll have about an hour break before we're back again for the next round. Thanks for commentating with me, Robbie.
Thanks for having me here.
Good luck in your next game.
Thank you.